Hello and welcome to Handgun Radio. I'm your host, Ryan Machad from the wild woods of central Maine, and this is your home for all the news, information, and discussion in the handgunning world. This week, we discuss Weerd's trip to NRA Show 2018 in Dallas. So as always, Handgun Radio is brought to you by the Firearms Radio Network, and please check out the Patriot Patch Company and their awesome patches and other high-quality items. Visit patriotpatch.co for more information. And there's actually a really cool patch out this month, the Patch of the Month Club. It's back-to-back World War champs, and there is a picture of a Thompson with a grenade and a few other military items, so it's really cool. And as always, shop Amazon using our affiliate link, firearmsradio.tv/Amazon, and please help support Handgun Radio. Head over to firearmsradio.tv/pledge and click on HGR. There are a bunch of different pledge levels over there, and we really appreciate it. So, Weerd, how you doing?
I am doing well. It is good to finally be home. I've been
Good
doing
to be home for more than 2 days.
Yes.
Well, it's good to have you on. We're going to have a pretty good discussion here. So, what did you do this week besides the main topic?
I cleaned my house because I got home and had a couple of days at home, and then turned around and went right back out on the road. And yeah, my house just looked like a bomb went off in it. So I was cleaning and doing laundry.
Yeah,
doing a podcast because I also do a podcast.
Yes, and there will be a link in the show notes to that. You should mention it a little bit more often. I would think you would.
Assorted Calibers podcast. It is awesome. Sign up and become a Patreon.
That's right. So also, I mean, I kind of did the same thing. We had Mother's Day today, and
we did too. My daughter was such a grouch. Like, I was telling my wife, like, oh man, I'm starting to remember all these like great holidays for my parents that I totally ruined as a child.
Yeah, we had a big get together over here at the house. First big barbecue, so that was fun.
I know, isn't it great that like, well, I was like, say spring's finally here, but really it kind of, I don't know about you, but it kind of like winter went straight to summer.
Yes, which I'm fine with.
Yeah, I'm fine with that too.
Yeah. I was like, I've been planting grass seed in places that like hadn't grown the year before, and I told somebody like, yeah, I gotta go mow my lawn. There's really already. I'm like,
that was actually the big thing is doing yard work too. Is I had to get my garden going. We planted my garden, and I had to spend like 2 hours just cleaning up sticks out of my yard because of all the storms this winter. There was no way I could get a mower across that lawn without like raking it.
I have 3 like garden beds, raised beds that I can plant stuff in, and I have been informed by my wife that is something that we will be doing.
and by planting stuff, you mean recreational marijuana? Because
no, I'm not savage. No, I think she wanted to do some tomatoes, and I don't know what the hell else you can find at the store, but we'll see if it happens.
We're doing tomatoes, cucumbers, some hot peppers, and mustard.
Now, if the cucumbers come out, I would be down for that. I like cucumbers, but
the cucumbers are so easy to grow, dude, and they're going to grow fine in your zone.
I don't know a damn thing about planting stuff.
You water them. That's all
I go to the store and I buy things.
You just water them.
Yeah. Do they plant?
Oh, we've got rhubarb too.
Okay,
that's
I like rhubarb. Rhubarb is fun.
Oh, and my mint's coming in, so mint juleps pretty damn soon.
So also yesterday I went to the gun shop. I talked about this actually last night. We had a fire out in my backyard, and I went live on the Facebook page, and I talked about my experiences up at the shop with the Colt Cobra 38 and the Smith & Wesson EZ 380 M&P pistol. Just shortly, just kind of like to wrap it up here real short. The Cobra had a decent trigger pull, single action and double action. Plenty of room for a gloved finger, which is cool, 6 rounds. The finish in pictures did not appeal to me, but in person didn't actually look that bad. Everything was very smooth. The sights were great. Nice big fiber optic front sight within a protective housing. I don't think you'd be damaging that unless you were really, really rough with it.
What was the price tag on it?
$679, I think.
That's okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fairly new gun, and I mean, I was looking at it and I'm like, yeah, that's a little bit high, but then I got to thinking about it. I'm like, if you get one of those Smith & Wesson J frames, like the Scandium ones, you're probably looking at almost that price.
The Scandium ones, I think you're looking higher than that.
Yeah, so I mean,
but I would argue you can't compare the Colt Cobra to a Scandium frame, because the Scandium frame is actually using like rare earth metals, and 2 is like insanely light.
That's true, but my one thing that I said about that Cobra was there's no reason that this shouldn't be in 357.
I 100% agree. I don't know why that was not a thing.
Written on the barrel, 38 special plus P, and I'm like, why is this not in 357 Magnum?
In the 21st century, there's no reason why an all steel gun. If Ruger can make a plastic 357, then Colt can make an all steel one.
But I mean, that's their decision, I'm sure. So when you were at the show, though, they also had the what was it, the Night Cobra, and that's something we'll probably talk about in the main topic, right?
Yeah.
All right. The Smith & Wesson EZ380, that gun, I talked to the guy who worked at the gun shop. He had already sold 5 of them. They can't keep them in the shop.
That's good to hear.
He bought one for his mom. His mom has arthritis and hand strength issues.
Mm-hmm.
And that gun is one of the few that she could rack comfortably. And she's not a gun person. And that was the market that we were talking about when we discussed it. People were kind of giving it crap, talking about it. When
those people are wrong. Those people are just pure wrong. This was like one of like the all-stars of the NRA show. So I'm not going to talk too much about it because we'll save it for the show body. But like, I got a lot to say about this gun.
The one thing the one thing I never noticed on it, did you notice on the rear end of the slide how they happen to maybe be a little bit like HK, but not quite?
What do you mean by that?
The little wings like the VP9 has.
Oh,
you can't see it in the pictures generally of the 380 pistol from Smith & Wesson. But if you look at the rear of the slide, the very last scallop juts out from the slide, just like the Smith & Wesson, the HK wings that they have on the VP9. Not nearly as pronounced, but it's still there.
I'm pulling up my photo right now and have it. Oh yeah. Look at that. You are right. I didn't notice it because the recoil spring is so light on this gun that you really don't like. When you've got a gun that's got a really stiff recoil spring, you're very aware of what your fingers are gripping onto.
That was one of the first things that I noticed. I picked it up and I racked the slide and I pinched the back and I went, wait a minute. I looked at it. I said, look at that. They like that last scallop kind of juts out like that VP.
With this gun, like literally you can hook your pinky finger over the front sight and rack it that way. Like however you want to rack the slide, you could do it.
I was standing there and I just pinched the front of it like on the smooth part and I was able to open it up like no problem. But also they made the grip safety pivot on the bottom, which I think is the better course of action.
Oh yeah.
It's not very hard to, I mean, you know me, I hate grip safeties, but this particular one is not very hard to depress. This is a modern day Colt 1908.
Very much so. Very much so.
Realistically.
I mean, physically too. You did you notice that it doesn't have a striker?
No, hammer fired.
Hammer fired.
Reminds me, well, isn't it like basically a copy of the 22 M&P 22 compact? Because the back of the slide looks like that.
Yeah, I don't know the M&P 22 all that much, and I don't know if it is a copy because I don't think Smith & Wesson makes those. Aren't those Umarex guns?
But I mean, I'm sure Smith & Wesson has some sort of like licensing deal or something.
I don't know,
but it's a very nice gun. Definitely check it out.
We'll talk more about it in a little bit.
And then there was one video I sent to you, Weerd. It's been going viral. The Brazilian woman who shoots the robber. Happy Mother's Day.
Didn't that make me happy?
So, yeah, if you haven't seen the video, we shared it on the Handgun Radio page. This guy comes around. Apparently, there was a rash of people like assaulting or trying to rob groups of women with their children out front of schools or something in Brazil. And so this guy pulls out a Smith and Wesson revolver in 38, comes around the corner.
Was it a Smith and Wesson or was it a Taurus?
When it said in the article, it said Smith and Wesson.
It's probably a Taurus.
Probably a Taurus, yeah. Guy came around the corner, was pointing the gun at people. This woman pulls out some sort of pistol, looked like a larger service pistol. She apparently was a military police officer. Puts the gun point blank in this guy's chest and just drills him. Drops him to the ground. Apparently she shot him 2 more times. You can't really see him well in the video, but he ended up assuming room temperature shortly after the video ended. And
you will die. It'll hurt the whole time while you're dying.
It was a hell of a video. I'm sure if you haven't seen it already, just go onto Facebook. I'm sure it'll probably pop up in your timeline. But
overall, I was very impressed with the with the video. I mean, I was a little bit. There was 2 things that kind of bugged me. One was she picked up his gun, and I'm like, just kick it away. Just kick it so it's far enough away, and just make sure that, and maybe step back a little bit so that you can still see the gun, or at least be aware if somebody comes close to it, like if he's got a friend or someone that's going to pick it up. But just like, don't go take your eyes off it, pick up a strange gun and all. It seems like a welcome. And 2, actually, when she drilled him the first time, there was like some people behind him, and I'm like,
I mean, you can't always choose the scene.
That's true, but I will say that this guy had no idea. Like, he was focusing on somebody else. So if they're not looking at you as you're pulling out your gun, like, keep your eye on his eyes. As soon as his eyes come to you, that's when you drill him. But otherwise, line up your shot just right.
And perhaps if you were like at her point of view, to what angle she was shooting, the camera may not show that, but like in her eye, she may have known like there's nothing behind him.
It very well could be. There's a lot of deceptive camera angles. I will have to say, this did bring to mind one scenario that I do often think about. Is I often find myself at the local pharmacy picking up medication, and that's always a concern. Like, that is like 110% like, no. I've always got at least 1 gun on me when I'm at the pharmacy, because it's a damn pharmacy. And the reason why is people hold up pharmacies. And it's one of those, what do I do if somebody's holding up my local pharmacy? And number one, that is not a look the other way. My wife's got some medical conditions, and she needs to be filling prescriptions all the time. So, hey, guess what? I'm there all the time. I know these people. These are nice people. And I'm not going to be like, you know what? Not my problem. I'm just going to go walk out the other door. No. That's, if someone's threatening the pharmacist at my local pharmacy, no. They're family. And one thing that I've always thought was, if they're focusing on the pharmacist and not focusing on me, why wouldn't I just take a knee and shoot upwards? That way, right, I'm not going to hit the other people around, because at the same time, you can get tunnel vision. So I might not be aware of completely what's behind my target. So that's just one thing to think about, is take a knee so you've suddenly got like that upward shot. I mean, there's a reason why hunters like to hunt from tree stands and hunt from high ground, because that way you shoot at the animal, and if the round passes through, it's going to pass through down into the dirt. Same ideas. You know what? I'd much rather it pass, if it does pass through, the guy, it passes through up towards the ceiling or the upper wall.
So what's your drink segment this week?
So this comes from, let's see, was it Michael? I think his name is Michael.
Yes, Michael. Yes, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. So from the Facebook group, he said, you know what? He's got a hankering for an old fashioned and wanted to know if Weerd could come up with a list of stuff that he could buy to outfit his bar. So now let's just dive into brass tacks. If you're going to be making an old fashioned, it is literally the easiest drink on earth to make. Like, even traditionally, it is a built cocktail. What built cocktail means is you make the drink in the same glass that you serve it in. And essentially, and that's what I've got right here in front of me. This is actually, I think, the first like true old fashioned I've ever had in my entire life. And It's okay. If honestly speaking, it's close enough to a Sazerac that I'd much rather have a Sazerac over this, but it's a fine cocktail. There's nothing wrong with an old fashioned, but I think if I'm going to hankering for an old fashioned, I'm going to be going for instead a Carte Blanche, which is the Canadian whiskey and triple sec with bitters, the Sazerac, which is the Peychaud's bitters, absinthe or something similar, rye, and lemon wedge, or the a Manhattan, which is still they're all within striking distance of each other, and those ones I happen to like a little bit better. Granted, I could probably tweak this a little bit more and get it right on my ball, but super duper easy. What you do is you get yourself an old fashioned glass, because it's an old fashioned. You need an old fashioned glass. Put a little bit of simple syrup in the bottom of it. And for those who haven't heard, simple syrup, literally easiest thing in the world to make. You literally take 1 measure of water and 1 measure of sugar, put it in a little pot, a little sauce pot, put it on heat on the stove, bring it up to a boil. As soon as it starts to boil, turn it off, let it cool down, and then pour it into a container, and you're all set. And by heating it up, it dissolves all the sugar, and then once it cools down, the sugar will not come out of solution. Some people will do an old fashioned with like a sugar cube or something like that. I recommend against it because sugar just doesn't want to dissolve in like cool liquid. And so it's just going to be gritty, and it's going to be like gross at the end. So I like to use the sugar syrup, and then put a little bit of bitters in that. And then you add in this case, I'm using bourbon or rye. And then I've seen it with actually using big chunks of fruit. That's actually this is my father's favorite drink. He prefers like a big chunk of orange muddled up. It seems like all the bartenders I really respect all use just an orange twist. And then you just put it all in the glass, stir it up, add ice, and you're ready to go. I would say it actually might be a better idea to put it all in a mixing glass, and then chill it first with ice and then strain it over fresh ice. That'll give it a little bit of a fresher taste, and then your ice, it'll be colder and your ice will last longer. But the proper way to do it is actually mixing it into the glass. But
fantastic.
For Michael, I've got like a basic like bartender set up with the old fashioned in mind, even though, like I said, literally you just need the first, the first link that I've got here, which is old fashioned glasses. And they're from a, what's the Libby. And I've got some glasses from Libby. They're relatively inexpensive, but they're good quality. So that's a good glass. It's a good idea to have a shaker. And the nice thing about a shaker is you can also use that as a mixing glass. You can get a purpose-built mixing glass, and if you want to be Billy Badass at your home bar, like get a mixing glass, it's awesome. But pick one. Get a cobbler shaker, which is what I use, or a Boston shaker, and learn how to use it. Here's a big one: graduated jigger. I've got a really, really great jigger set that's just a standard double-ended jiggers. They look awesome. They're so fun to use. It's so much slower and just so much more impractical than the graduated jigger. This one's awesome. And this one they make for a little bit cheaper. They make a plastic one. I like the stainless steel one. Just get the stainless steel one. It looks nicer and it'll last you longer. I can't guarantee how long the plastic one's going to last. I mentioned making the syrup. I've got links to squeeze bottles. These things are awesome. They're like, I think they're made for like ketchup or mustard or something like that, but these are awesome. Like I got like an 8-pack of these things, and I use these for all kinds of different syrups. But literally just buy this, you heat up your syrup in the water, use whatever sugar you want. I just use white sugar for my basic syrup, but you can also, if you've got like citrus peels, I've shredded up citrus peels, put it in sugar, and let that sit there, and the sugar will draw out the liquids from the citrus peels, and then dump the whole thing into your sauce pot, and then add the water, boil it up, and then strain it into the bottle. Same ideas I've done with Kool-Aid. I've made syrups for making freezes, and You just take Kool-Aid, mix it with sugar, and then again, add the same amount of water, boil it, put it in the sauce, squeeze bottles. They're awesome. And the last one is if you're ever going to be making a cocktail with citrus, get a good juicer. Oh my goodness. It makes such a big deal. You're going to just wear yourself out juicing limes and lemons using like those like crappy like juicers where you like twist it onto the thingy. Don't use those. Use a juicer like the one I've got listed. The one I've got listed here it's dirt cheap and it's awesome. Just get it.
Excellent. So those will be in the show notes. And I'm sure I could probably post like the thing in the Handgun Radio discussion group.
Oh, and also I picked all of these things I picked are just like the best thing for like the reasonable amount of money. Like you can get better stuff for more money. Don't be afraid to spend more money on stuff, but I just got it. If you're asking me that question, like, you know, if somebody says, oh, Weerd, what's, you know, I want to buy a gun. What gun do I buy? If you're asking me that question, like I'm going to send you like, get an M&P, get a Glock, get, you know, maybe an HK VP9, you know, I'm going to point you towards a more affordable gun. I'm not going to say, oh man, get an STI 1911. Like they're awesome. Yes, they are awesome, but no, I'm not going to send somebody to get a $2,000 1911 as their very first gun when they're just asking me what gun to get. So again, just do what I do. Just look at the Amazon ratings. If it's got a whole bunch of 5-star ratings, like, yeah, buy it.
Excellent. So with that, we'll head into the main topic, NRA Show 2018. So Weerd, you went down to Texas.
You did not.
I did not.
Can we please fix this in the future?
I'm sorry. It's too far away.
Too far away. What about Naptown? It's going to be in Indy next year.
We drove almost to Indy.
I'm not going to drive. Like seriously, like that was one thing I was thinking as I was flying back. Like, oh my god, I'm so glad I'm not driving for 14 hours.
Bad.
I almost went under an 18-wheeler in the last 100 miles. Like it was bad.
Yeah, well, that was in Connecticut, and everybody wants to do that in Connecticut. You just want to drive off a bridge.
I was falling asleep, and it took me like 2 days to recover.
Yeah, I yelled at you. You almost hit the damn 18 miles. I was like, Weerd. You better stop. Yeah, it was not good.
No, it was not good.
But all right. So you saw guns that I have not had a chance to see. We talked about the Smith & Wesson, all those other ones. But the SIG P365, how is it a double stack?
Oh my God. Like it is absolutely insane. Like, I don't want to sound like everybody else, but everybody else is right. Like you pick it up and it feels like a car. Like it feels like a PM9. It is like teeny tiny, but yet you got a good grip on it. It's not like the, what was that? Was it a 390? What was that? What was the little micro single stack?
290.
The 290. Yeah. Yeah. That gun, I hated that gun. That gun sucked. And that gun was super duper top heavy. Like you got like a finger and a half on the grip. It was a little single stack 9. Like it was the worst. It was lousy. This is the
hammer fired too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't care about the hammer fired, but overall it did not impress me. This impressed the crap out of me. Like seriously, when there's a Massachusetts legal one out there, like I'm buying it, and my PM45 is going to be like a backup gun. It's a no-brainer. It's got a great trigger. It's got a great sights. It feels good in the hand, but it's nice and small. So it's super duper concealable, and it holds 10 rounds. And I don't know how it holds 10 rounds.
That's crazy. Cause to hear you say that,
like literally,
you die hard 45 man, to hear you say that, it's kind of like, okay, maybe I should really, really pay attention to this.
So my love of 45 started out in my early days as a shooter. I was absolutely a caliber warrior, 100% wrong. Like caliber warrior, 1911's rule, Glock's drool. And yet meanwhile, you know, when my nephew says, oh, I want to buy a gun, what do I get? Get a Glock. And he got a Glock. You know, it's, you know, those, we have some wrong opinions when we're young, but given that I live in Massachusetts, so I'm limited to 10-round magazines, 45 is a really, really good choice because, hey, guess what? if I can't carry, an M&P 9 with 17+1 rounds in it, or with their like, +5 base pads. Oh my God. Like just these huge, like submachine gun magazines hanging out of the bottom of the gun. If I can't carry those, then and I'm limited to 10 rounds, why would I not instead of the instead of the M&P 9, why wouldn't I choose the M&P 45 that holds 10? I don't have to put a limited magazine into the gun, and it's a bigger round. Like people say, the difference is academic. Much better to have 17 rounds of 9mm than 8 rounds of 45. That is true. But when you're dealing with 10 rounds of 9mm and 10 rounds of 45, in my opinion, better to have 10 rounds of 45. So my love of the 45 is one, coupled to my like undying love of the 1911. And the 1911, so many people just call them 45s. Like I heard so many people at the NRA show, like these are gun nuts, who are like, oh yeah, they've got nothing but they've got a whole bunch of cool 45s. Well, no, they make 45s in 9 as well. It's kind of like what people in the Midwest calling all sodas Cokes. So my love of the 45 is impartially reinforced by Massachusetts and their stupid gun laws. Yeah, like to have something that's that small but have it be 10+1 in 9. I'd love to be able to use, I think they've got 12 round extended magazines for them as well. Like I would love to be able to use those, but that's not going to happen. But the fact that I could still use the standard magazines, be right there at the magic limit, and have it still be a gun that I can easily drop in a pocket. Awesome.
So Smith & Wesson, the Smith & Wesson Model 19, that was the big news for me. Returns to the
yeah. That was pretty cool. Like I gotta say, I get the whole classic lines, but I still have to say, like right next to that M19 was the 686, and I'm just like, they're so close. Like the size difference between the K frame and the L frame are so close that I would just pick the L frame just personally. But that's me, and I don't carry a full size. I don't carry a full size revolver. When I carry a revolver, I just carry a small frame. So maybe I'm the wrong person to say. Someone who maybe carries a full size revolver will notice the difference between a K frame and an L frame. But it was pretty. It sure was pretty. They had their classic blued version, and they had their performance center ones. And yeah, they're nice guns. And I must say, I don't much care for the new Model 66. It just doesn't do it for me. It's like, it's a little too classic, but still looks very modern. So it's kind of neither fish nor fowl. This one totally looks the part.
Yeah, I was really happy with the way that they did it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did a good job with it.
And the 360.
Yeah, they just got the new it came out like way earlier this year. It's not something super duper new, but what was interesting that had it was, I was asking about the new 360 has a unfluted steel cylinder in it instead of the 360 PD, which has the fluted titanium cylinder. And I was like, what's the weight savings? And the guy didn't know off the top of his head, but he pulled out the catalog, and they're listed as the same weight in the catalog. And that was just scratching my head because it's a whole lot cheaper. And it's a lot lighter. It's nice. It's gonna feel like you're getting hit in the hand with an aluminum baseball bat.
So what was Cabot up to?
Oh, I want to talk before we get into Cabot. We got to talk about the Shield. Like I mentioned, I was going to talk about the Shield EZ. So this gun is so cool. So it is designed for people who might have a little bit of trouble operating a 9mm shield, because it's the same size as a 9mm shield, but it's in 380. And so what you get with that, and he was also saying towards people who want like additional levels of safety. So if you've got kids at home or something like that, like you are concerned about a gun being too simple for, for your lifestyle, which is a legitimate statement. Like, you might want more safety features on your gun. And so this one's got the grip safety. It's got, you can get it with a thumb safety. It's just their standard, like, shield, not, 1911 style thumb safety. And yeah, it was a really, really cool gun. It was hammer fired, super duper easy slide to rack. I really appreciated what it is. I mean, people are going to give it crap, but like, the people that are going to give it crap are the people, like, I'm not going to rate it on the same size as me. Yes, my pocket gun is not a little tiny 380. It's a, it's a pocket 45. That's a lot of gun to handle. But hey, guess what? I work guns all the time. It's not a big deal for me. For someone who's not someone spend a lot of time at the range, or someone who's got some hand strength issues, or arthritis, degenerate thing, nerve damage, whatever, what have you, they're not going to be able to work the 300 gazillion pound recoil spring on my PM45. So this is a good option. Also, I don't know if you noticed, I almost missed this. I dropped the mag just to see what the mag looked like and to get it. So it's a true single stack, unlike the rest of the shields, which are almost but not quite a double stack. They're kind of Smith & Wesson bills it as a single stack, but it's slightly double stacked, or slightly staggered. This one is a true single stack. And because of the 380 and all the other, things fit into it, they put the little cheater bumps on the follower. So you can grab those tabs and pull the follower down and drop the rounds in. So you don't have to use a loader or worry about like jamming them under the feed limps under spring pressure.
It wouldn't surprise me if Smith & Wesson came up with like some sort of little thing that you could slip over, like a collar or something. Mm-hmm. To help you aid in loading the magazine. Yeah,
but like, this thing was great because
it works good. I mean, yeah, they really do. They're very, very pronounced.
I mean, I think everyone who's done a lot of shooting has been sitting there at the range with their little, 22 semi-auto, where you can just grab the tabs on the follower, pull the follower all the way down, and just dump the rounds into the thing, give it a little shake, and then release the tabs so that they come up under spring pressure, and then you're loaded. And you're like, and then next thing you turn around and start loading your Glock, and your just thumbs getting just raw from loading those magazines. You're just thinking, why can't they be like that? Especially, I remember, as someone who, like, my first handgun was a 1911. Oh, this isn't too bad. What are all the people talking about? Get a mag loader. And then I got my first double stack. Like, it was my CZ82, and loading my CZ82. And I'm like, oh my God, this is a drag. Okay. Now I get it.
So, we all set on the Smith & Wesson?
Yeah, I think we're all set.
The Cabot, what happened with them?
Well, so first up, Robert says hi.
Oh, hey.
He is like the one like CEO of a gun company. Everyone's all nice. Like, you rarely get someone that's heady. He's the one person that always recognizes me and then immediately starts asking about you.
Yeah, Robert is the one person, like, oh my God, I need to email him and say hi. I need to, yeah.
Yeah,
he is the nicest person in the world.
He was talking about wanting to do another show, so we need to do another show.
Absolutely.
So I asked him, and I'm like, all right, what is it? Because he's always got he's an artist that sees the world on a 1911. Like, he always has to like do some sort of like high art with a 1911. And he was so the latest one is, he calls it the Icon, and it is like a minimalist 1911. Like, it is a 1911 and nothing more. Like, it is very, very stark, very, very slab sided, very, very plain. It's all done in like a matte, like stainless finish, and the grips are matte stainless. I don't know if they're metal or what, or matte aluminum, but the grips are almost the exact same color as the gun. And the only real feature on the gun is, instead of serrations at the back of the slide, there are just these two studs that he calls cocking buttons, for you to grab onto and rack them. And they're very striking. It's not my favorite gun made by Cabot, but it's Cabot. It's very, very, very striking. So those were cool. He's Cabot is now entered in a partnership with a company that makes, I think you say, tungsten carbide knives. This company's figured out a way to make tungsten carbide so it's not brittle. So they've got these very, very durable, very, very sharp knives that are hard and corrosion resistant. And I was saying, oh man, have you ever thought about making these for kitchen knives? Because I use ceramic knives in the kitchen for if I'm making a cocktail. You want to cut up a lime, I can cut up a lime and then I can just set it on the counter and clean it in the morning. And the lime juice is not going to completely ruin my blade. But if I do it with one of my steel blades, like, no, I've got to clean it right then and there. Otherwise it's going to mess up my knife. And he would say, oh, you cook too? And so we got talking. Evidently Robert makes his own prosciutto.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
So we were geeking out a lot. There was some serious geekery. Like, actually, Erin had texted me saying, "Oh, she was doing something else on there." I was with Erin Paulette from the Assorted Calibers podcast there because Ryan Machad couldn't come.
I'm sorry, you were too busy discussing the cutting of meat and different knives. It's all right.
That's exactly it. So Aaron had texted me and said, "Oh, I'm at the Geisley booth. You want to meet me up?" I said, "Sure, I'll be there." And then I walked past Cabot and I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna stop by and say hi." Like an hour and 20 minutes later, I'm like, "Oh, sorry, I got sidetracked at Cabot."
Aaron shows up and you and Robert are just sitting down at a table and you have all this shaved meat and all these knives and everything. You have like your bib tucked in, your little napkin or whatever, having your food.
Got some nice olives.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. Cabot Firearms, always a great place. And they always really have a lot of great things. We do have to do another show with him very soon.
Yes.
Ruger.
Not a whole lot to talk. Saw the pistol caliber carbine.
What did you think of it?
I liked it. It's literally just like a fat 1022 that shoots a fat 22 caliber bullet.
How did it feel to hold it? That knowing you'll never have it in Massachusetts?
Why wouldn't I? That's mass legal.
Is it?
Yeah, totally mass legal.
Are you sure?
You need to put 10 round magazines into it, but yeah, totally mass legal.
Oh, okay.
Unless there's something I'm missing, but I'm almost positive.
Well, I don't know. Like, I thought the Attorney General basically declared everything that wasn't a bolt action.
Yeah, kinda. But I believe they are shipping them to Massachusetts. They backed off a little bit on that.
Okay.
But the one thing there's two things I really wanted to talk about with Ruger is one, I got to handle the Security 9 for the first time.
Yes.
I really liked it. And I wanted to say, oh my God, I was totally like, I did not give the safety the credit that I needed to. Like literally, I was trying to flick the safety on the gun and I thought it was broken. Like, you literally need to like turn the gun in your hand and get your thumb underneath it to turn the safety on. But as soon as that safety's on, you can flick it off with just the swipe of a thumb.
Which is the way it should be.
It is the perfect safety for if you go, that gun doesn't need a safety. Like, it is awesome. Like, it is way better than the other Rugers that had unnecessary or Smith & Wessons that had unnecessary safeties. Like, it is literally like a safety you don't need to worry about. Like, even I would say I wouldn't even worry about this gun. Like, if I was just going to say, I'm just going to ignore the safety. Because for something like, let's say you've got an M&P that has the unnecessary thumb safety. You're going to have to practice swiping that thing off because it might get bumped on while it's in the holster. I don't think this one could get bumped on.
The Security 9 is the gun that you buy if you were thinking of buying a high point and then you decide to wait for another pay period.
That is exactly what I was saying to the guy at Ruger when I was handling it. One of the Ruger guys came over and started talking to me. I was handling this like Friday morning. So the place was Deadsville. And the guy came over and I said, I really appreciate that you guys make inexpensive firearms that are really, really high quality. And and work well, because yeah, exactly it. Somebody comes into a gun shop, they just stop by, they're driving on the way home from work, they see the place that has the, you know, the gun shop, they just stop by, and suddenly they go, or they've decided they want a home defense gun, and they suddenly go in and they start looking at the Glocks, and they're like, these things are $500. Oh my God, $500. It's a reasonable price for those of us that are aware of what guns cost. But for someone who, goes into Home Depot and just picks up a whole bunch of stuff for like $5,
$100 is a lot of money to me. I don't know about you, but
well, what I'm saying is what we know what things cost, but $100 is a lot of money to me. I'm not going to just throw $100 away, but I'm not going to buy $100 car. It's one of those, like I'm not going to look at,
I mean, what kind of work you got to do to it?
That's just when you realize what the bench standard is, you know that like a new Glock or a new striker fired pistol is going to be in the vicinity of $500, and that's reasonable for a brand new gun. And under that's might be more value priced, over that still might be reasonable. But when someone comes in and sees $500, oh my God, I thought maybe I could pick one up for $50 or whatever, whatever they had in their idea. And that's when this person immediately goes, all right, cool, I'll buy the High Point.
Right.
And you're like, really?
I mean, High Point works, but
they work.
Is a much better option.
Security, I mean, it's a High Point. You can't compare a High Point to a Security 9. You can compare a High Point to a Glock in the fact that they both have a metal slide and a polymer frame, but no, you can't compare them. I mean, it's a High Point is something. And, like I said, I know a guy who has, his carry gun is a used High Point. He bought a High Point used, and that's one of those, I get it. He is dirt poor, and I think he paid like $90 for a used High Point.
I thought you were going to say $9.
Yeah, to $25.
Used High Point, $9.
Yeah, well, I mean, they don't need to depreciate all that much, because if you break it, you send it back to Ohio.
Oh no.
One other thing though. Talk to somebody again. Every year I go and I talk to somebody. I say, please scale up the LCR and make a 357 6-shot like a GP100. And every year they blow me off. Not this year. And I was very impressed that they said, you know what, that sounds interesting. And I'm just going to say I might have heard some other buzz. It was completely unconfirmed, but I don't know. Let's keep our fingers crossed that Ruger does that, because it would be such a smart move. I mean, again,
they're going to name it after you.
I would love if they named it after me and sent me one.
Yeah. You think you would love that? I'd love that.
I think everyone wants the Ruger Weerd beard.
And then you'd forget that you were on Handgun Radio.
Or get this, the GP100 Whiskey Bravo. Oh my God, that would be so awesome.
Whiskey Bravo Tallow Edition.
Yeah. Oh God, wouldn't that make us all happy? And I would not forget that I was in Handgun Radio. Handgun Radio is a big deal. Oh, that would make it. Everyone wants their Whiskey Bravo. Everyone send Ruger's Twitter feed.
Yes.
To the hashtag
email Tallow to tell them you want a distributor edition. Wiley Clapp can have one. Grant Cunningham will never get one, but we got the Whiskey Bravo.
Yeah, none for Grant.
So, Canik, what are you trying to make Savage happy or something?
No, the other way around. I just wanted to say I went to the Canik, Janik, however you want to say their name.
Well, you spelled it wrong in the show notes.
I don't care. I was so unimpressed with the fact that I walked in and they had like 1,001 of their. I don't even know what's their P99 clone called. What's the name of it? P9. Is that was or the
VP9? Okay.
I don't know.
TP9.
Yeah, TP9.
Yeah,
TP9.
That's what I used to do in people's houses when I was a kid in high school.
1,000,001 of them, and like the booth was pretty uninteresting because it was just like that gun, and they just were just in 1,000,001 different colors. That's one of those like, great, this one's in green, this one's in silver, this one's in black. Good for you. But they had a whole side of their booth devoted to their single action gun. And so, have you seen this gun?
You mean the TP9 SA?
Yes.
Yeah, the one where you decock it with the button on the top.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
And like, I was just like, we were sitting there looking at him going,
why?
Yeah, exactly. And so the guy came by and said, I mean, the booth was deserted. The guy came by and said, "Oh, can I help you with anything?" I'm like, "Why? Why would you do that?" And he literally didn't know.
I didn't think you would mince words.
Yeah. And he's just like, "I don't know." I'm like, "Cool, bye." We walked away. Like, that was it. Like, handled their standard double action one. And it's one of those, it's cool. It's a bargain price, P99. It's not a bad gun.
Well, I mean, back when like Walther and everybody else had that, like the button thing on the top, it was fine. Cause if you wanted to decock the gun, you still could do it double action. But
yeah, this makes no sense because it's essentially a single action only gun, but it's got a decocking button and it's got no manual safety. So you can't carry it cocked and locked. Just yeah.
Whole bunch of fail.
Yeah, words fail me.
Car arms color case hardening.
Yeah, they got a bunch of color case hardening. I love color case hardening. So they've got the Desert Eagle. You can get the Desert Eagle color case hardened.
Of course you can.
Of course you can. It looks pretty cool too. You can get the Auto Ordnance 1911. You can get yourself a whole friggin' Thompson color case hardened. All like 1,100 pounds of it.
I kind of want that.
And did they have an actual car? I don't remember, but yeah, but they got a bunch of color case hardening. I know we like it. It's not being done by Turnbull. It's being done by another company in Texas. Do you remember what I said?
It's like Tyler's Arms or something.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah,
we'll put the link in the show notes.
But it's a different method than Turnbull uses, but it is it's still true color case hardening. It's not like a mock-up, because some companies will sell color case hardened guns and it's just essentially a dye or a paint or something that's applied to the gun. This is color case hardening. It looked cool. I like color case hardening.
So Bond Arms, real quick, the bullpup.
That gun is so cool.
Basically the Boberg.
Yep.
Probably a little bit refined, maybe.
Yeah, I think simplified is actually more, because they brought the price down. It's still expensive. It's still like, I want to say it's still just under $1,000 if I remember correctly, but it's one of those. Those Bobergs were really, really expensive, and the production numbers are so much higher. And it's being made by Bond Arms. They do things well, and it was the guy got talking to it. We got talking technical details. We went nuts. Like, first up, like, have you ever handled one of these, Ryan?
Yes.
Yeah. So you've seen, like, it's got that one long, skinny, like, recoil spring.
Yeah. Up on like the upper left side, is it? Or
yes.
inside the slide?
Yep. And you know what? I never knew this. That's not a recoil spring.
What is it?
That is the slide return spring. Like, all of the slide, all of the action that resists the slide on recoil is being done by the camming action of the recoil system. Like, it's not using it's not using a recoil spring. The recoil is all being done by the action. Isn't that cool?
It's curious.
Yeah. And so that also means the guy pulled out. It's not in production yet, but they're working on it. 22 TCM barrel. Just in case you were concerned about that hair on your knuckles, because your fingers are like a quarter of an inch from the muzzle when you touch one of those off. But yeah, and he says it's literally just You pull the old barrel out and drop the TCM barrel in. Done. No recoil spring change because there's no recoil spring.
That will be awesome to see. Ultimate Arms.
Yeah, these guys have been around for a while, but like I saw them a couple of years ago, but I forgot to mention them on the show. But this one, they make magnesium framed 1911s. It's like magnesium zirconium or something. It's not just pure magnesium. It is.
Won't it light on fire or something?
No, it's designed to it is an alloy so that it does not light. Magnesium doesn't light very easily anyway, especially when you make it. I mean, they used to make mag rims on automobiles. Like they would like if the whole car would catch on fire, yes, but like, you know, you blowing out your rim and making sparks, it's not going to cause the whole,
They didn't put magnesium rims on like the Pinto or anything.
No, because the Pinto was a bargain vehicle and mag rims were expensive. But yeah, these are just really, really, really light 1911s. And they also they do explosively bonded frames and slides where they'll use ammonium nitrate to actually bond, essentially cold weld the two things together. Is they'll essentially take the billets and put ammonium nitrate on the outer surfaces and put them in a giant ram and press them together until the ammonium nitrate detonates. And that causes so much pressure that the two metals fuse cold. Essentially, they swage themselves into the pores of the metal and become, permanently bonded. And then they can then have stainless steel rails on top of a magnesium frame or an aluminum frame, or have a stainless steel slide that has an aluminum top to it so that it's lighter. Very, very neat guns. Very, very neat guns, and done very, very well.
So you had Caracal.
Yes.
We spoke about these. Geez, how long ago was it? Back when they first came out, I think. And then they went away for a while. Then they came back a little bit, and now they've come back differently. So first up, like the big thing that blew my mind was these are 100% American made guns. Well, didn't some people call them like the Steyr Killer or something like that?
I don't know about that. So here's the thing Handle the Gun, like they've got their weird, like where they've got both conventional sights and sights where all the sighting action is done in front of the ejection port. So they're closer together, and supposedly that's a faster sight to acquire. I don't know. It definitely doesn't feel like the Steyr trapezoidal sights. And again, the Steyrs are doing it with a full sight radius.
Right.
So I can't comment one way or the other on them. I mean, it's going to work. It just doesn't seem like the greatest idea, but the conventional sights are perfectly fine. The rest of the gun, it's great. It's fine. It's I guess you could say it's at least, in striking distance of the Steyr. I don't know if it could be a Steyr Killer. It's a hard thing to say because they're both kind of not guns that are super heavy amount of market share. But it seems like it seems like a fine gun. But the neat thing about it is, again, 100% American made. It's no longer a United Arab Emirates gun. So,
which means hopefully the aftermarket support, the back end support will be a little bit better as well.
Yeah. And again, cool. I mean, I know some people are not a fan of those countries. I'm not a fan of those countries. Any place that bans alcohol and kills homosexuals, I don't think that's okay. So yeah, that was them. They're back. They seem pretty confident about, about themselves right now. It's all just a full size. They don't have the compact out yet, but it is a totally different gun. It's still based off of the original Caracal, but they've really re-envisioned it. So it's worth a look at.
North American Arms.
Yes, they've got their Ranger 2.
Looks awesome.
Yep, it's pretty cool. It is. So I was very impressed with it. And then at the same time, I kind of got my scratching my head. So first up, it's only in 22 Winchester Magnum. They did not make one in 22. You can get a conversion cylinder, and they have one that comes with both cylinders, but it's still the 22 Winchester Magnum gun. And I asked them like, "Oh, does it need the extra length of the frame for the camming action of the ejector? Because again, it's got the automatic ejector. It's a top brake, and just like any others, you just pull the top over it, and it's going to eject it and be ready to accept new shells, which is awesome. Though I gotta wonder with a gun like that, like how many technical reloads are you gonna do? But yeah, he's like, nope, doesn't need it. All the stuff's in the backside of the frame. I'm like, so wouldn't you make it shorter? And didn't really give me any good answer about it. Like, it's still a teeny tiny gun, but when you're making a gun that small, like I'd always go the extra effort to make it a little smaller.
I honestly was talking to somebody this weekend about the NRA minis, and I said, to be honest, they're like, yeah, I kind of want to get one. I said, honestly, I would get the 22 long rifle version. You can shoot it a lot more. It's a lot cheaper to shoot. The gun it's not something you're gonna carry as a self-defense piece unless it's like a really, really super deep cover, like I just need to carry a gun but I'm not supposed to, or I can't, or something.
I mean, I've heard
condone that, but
I've heard some people say too, their North American Arms gun is for if someone's told, well, yes, you can keep it in your prison wallet. But the more serious statement is if someone totally gets the drop on you and they are making you disarm, like you can toss your primary gun, you can toss your primary and your secondary gun and then be disarmed. And when that person lets their guard down, you can pull out your tertiary gun and shoot them.
Right. I mean, this is a like point blank, like put it on the person gun.
I'm not going to quote Val Kilmer when he talked about his 22 North American Arms in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, but that was a good scene. Did you not see Kiss Kiss Bang Bang?
I have not.
Oh my God, you need to rectify that. It's so good. And Val Kilmer, this was fat Val Kilmer before he got cancer or whatever the heck he had that made him really thin Val Kilmer again. But yeah, he one of his guns, he carries a Vector and a North American Arms Mini.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I need to see this movie then.
It's pretty good.
Last one, Tatiana Whitlock.
Yes. So Aaron introduced me to Tatiana Whitlock.
Did she say that she knew me?
So as we're talking, Aaron goes, "Oh yeah, I forgot to say she lives in Maine." And I went, "What?" And like she lives in like my old stomping grounds. Like,
yes.
Yeah. And I mentioned, "Oh, I do a show with Ryan." She's like, "I know Ryan." So,
yes, thank you very much. I went down to Howell's and did a video and a podcast with her. If you haven't seen it, it's a decent video, and there's a
I must have missed
show.
that, but she invited us back, and so I think Handgun Radio needs to make a return to Howell's, and I need to go and see it.
Yeah, I'm game anytime. You're the one that never comes up here. You're still in your communist republic down there.
Blah blah. I come up to Maine all the time, but I come to Southern Maine.
After Donald Trump's done with North Korea, maybe he should go to Massachusetts and see what he can get done there.
Excuse me, Mr. Central Maine, but I like to poop in running water. Thank you very much.
Yes, we need to go back to Howell's. I had a great time there. That really is a great range, and we had a really good conversation. She was doing a class, I believe, with a bunch of people shortly after we did the show, and I got to observe some of that, and it was really great. So
maybe we should take a class. I need to take a class.
You need to brush up on your skills.
I need to scrape some of the suck off of me.
How about this? I'll let you pay for the class, and I'll watch you take the class.
Oh, nice! I pay the money and you watch. I'm into that. I'm into that.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll get in touch with her, but we definitely need to do a show there. Great range, and if you're ever in Maine, Gray, Maine, head to Howell's Gun Shop.
Also, head to the Gray Animal Farm. It's awesome.
So,
have you been to the animal farm?
I have not.
Oh man, they got good. It's run by the Fish and Game. Essentially, if someone like hits like a deer with their car, or they pull like a moose out of someone's swimming pool, and it can't just be released back into the wild, they bring it there to either rehabilitate or just to live out the rest of its days if it's something they can't go. So it's
a nursing home for animals.
It is a nursing home for animals. It's a great little place. They also have a fish hatchery.
So anything else before we wrap up and head into the wrap up section?
I think that's fine, but I think you need to come to Indy next year.
Yes, I will.
All right, awesome.
All right, so with that, we'll head into the wrap up section and close out the show. Don't forget to shop Brownells using our affiliate link. Head to firearmsradio.tv and click the affiliate link in the upper right-hand corner. Be sure to go like Handgun Radio on Facebook and share it with your friends. Leave us a review on iTunes and listen to all the great shows on the Firearms Radio Network. Be sure to check out the Firearms Radio Network on YouTube. And Weerd, where can people find you?
You can find me at my blog, which is weirdworld.com and ryancoughing.com.
Yeah, sorry. My voice is apparently going for the evening.
Lucky Strikes means fine tobacco.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you can find me on my blog, which is weirdworld.com. You can also hear me on the Assorted Calibers podcast. That's assortedcalibers.com.
And there will be a link in the show notes. If you have not started listening to that show, you should. It is a fantastic production.
Yep. And also hearing us Raz Savage. Savage is also on it. We've also got Aaron Paulette and a bunch of other people. We got a private detective.
Oh my God.
It's awesome.
Excellent. So there'll be links to that in the show notes. So Weerd, as always, thank you for coming on the show.
It's always good to be on the show.
And until next week, have fun and safe shooting.